song, Mike. Sing the song.
It's time for the People's Pre-Fight Show with me, Jed, and Casey Leydon on the ones and twos. That's right, everybody. We are about 29 minutes away from UFC Vegas 58, which will be capped off by the battle for the superior Rafael or Rafael, depending on how you pronounce the name. Rafael dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. Super fun fight at 155 to close the show. And we're here to answer your questions and just do whatever you want to do. It's the People's Pre-Fight Show after all. Thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck, being joined by Mr. Hot Take, Mr. No Gray Area, Mr. Jed Meshew. Hello, Jed. Wow, look at this background. Scenic, buddy.
Yeah, we are on location today. It's a beautiful weekend. I'm up at the lake, just doing lake things, being a lake guy. So, and now I get to stop lake things to watch a fight card, which I'm very excited about.
That's great. That's just what you want to do at the scenic lake when there's, tons of stuff to do. Tubing, fishing, all sorts of stuff, and you have to stop all of that to watch fights. So there you go.
No, it's good. It's important because I had a big day, played a round of golf, out on the boat, doing all that. Now it's time. This is the relaxer. We just get to settle in. 11 fights now with the drop off. I think that's something, some reasonable number of fights happening, and we just get to enjoy. It's going to be a great Saturday.
That's right. And also joining us, not on location, just in the normal place he usually is, Mr. Casey Leydon on the ones and twos. There he is.
Hi.
Happy. So yeah, if you're new to the People's Pre-Fight Show, it is exactly what it means. We answer your questions. We get your thoughts about this card, whether it be Rafael versus Rafael or any of the other fights on the card. If you want to talk betting lines or stuff like that, that's why we have Jed here. We can talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about in regards to this card. So without further ado.
But the one thing that has been decided, right? The loser of this fight will now be Ralph.
Ralph, right? Okay. Ralph.
Yeah. I listened to the preview show yesterday, and I was astonished that there was even a debate. Ralph is obviously the only other thing that was I would have accepted the listener who suggested they become a different Ninja Turtle because that would just be really funny as well. Leonardo dos Santos is an incredible name.
That's a great name. I thought Randy was kind of funny because saying that like Randy Fiziev, Randy dos Anjos, it completely changes who they are. Like Ralph, it almost sounds a little bit similar.
How many Ralphs have there been in the UFC?
That's a great. It's got to be zero,
know.
Right?
Of all the fights, Ralph's not that uncommon a name. Not one Ralph.
I've literally never met a Ralph in my life, so
maybe the early days.
It's not a common name.
I feel like
maybe like UFC 2.
Both of those names are tough names because they can mean different things, and neither of them are things you necessarily want to be associated with. Like when you said Randy dos Santos, I thought, I can't touch that because I don't want to get fired. But that's just not a thing. And I will say Ralph is my personal favorite euphemism for upchucking. Whenever, especially in college, when somebody be out drinking and be like, oh, he's in the bathroom, Ralph Nadering all over the place. It's my favorite way to call it.
We do have one fight that is no longer on the main card. Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes is off the card if you didn't know already. Apparently the dog was very excited about that fight. Sorry to inform you. But Nina Nunes posted on her Instagram some stomach issues, so that fight will not be happening. Hopefully it gets rescheduled at another date. But Ayman Zahabi, Ricky Tercios gets the old bump up to the main card. So there you go. Let's go. Let's see what the peeps have to say.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, it should be a fun fight.
I'm just going to top to bottom. Here we go.
Okay. What up? All right.
Tristan?
What up, Tristan?
Tristan.
Yeah. What up?
Tristan, glad you're excited about the fights this weekend.
Will Ngannou fight before the end of the year? No, he will not.
No.
He sure is.
I'll be stunned. Yeah, he shouldn't. He absolutely shouldn't.
So wait, it's into the year. That's when his contract officially ends. Is that how it works, or?
I don't know if we know that for sure. That's
No
what
one.
he said, and I think everyone's taking that at face value because it could be true, but it ends in December. That also coincidentally is like when he is estimated to be eligible to return from his rehab. But I also just even outside of everything else, that feels like a really tight timeline. Like just beginning of next year, if he's gonna stay with the UFC, beginning of next year.
And so he could possibly be. When was the last time a champion left the UFC with the belt? Randy could check, but
Uh,
he didn't officially leave. He
B
never.
B BJ
Did BJ fight outside the
BJ
organization?
with
With
with the welterweight title, not the lightweight.
oh, okay, all right.
Because BJ went and did the like Rumble on the Rock thing, but I can't think if yeah, I think that's it. I mean, Randy like
He
was
tried to,
pretended
but he
to,
didn't,
but
it
he
didn't happen. Yeah,
tried to, but he never came back. I think off the top of my head, BJ is the only person I can think of that qualifies here.
all right. Wow.
I mean, unless you count GSP retiring as leaving the organization
No,
or
I
Habib,
wouldn't count
but
that. Yeah, he was still under
yeah,
contract the whole time. Yeah.
BJ is the last person I can think of, and that was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
All right.
Be massive if Francis does leave.
Yeah.
Do you think RDA will be durable enough against Fiziev, Jed? Now, I listened to No Bets Barred a little bit earlier today. I have a lot of the same reads that you have on this fight. I actually am picking RDA to win a decision here. I think just
So
the
am I.
experience, and I think he is very durable. But Fiziev is a tank, man. When that guy hits you, it certainly makes you change course a little bit. But do you think RDA's durability can hold up over 25 minutes against a guy like Fiziev, especially if he can get going early? Because I feel, and I agree with what Jose said during the preview show yesterday, we're going to know how this fight's going to go in the first round and a half. We'll have a pretty good gauge on it.
Yeah, for sure. The question is whether he can stand up. I think the first 5 to 8 minutes, and that's not a critique on Fiziev's gas tank. It's just I think if this fight makes it past 10, and Fiziev hasn't like really hurt RDA to now just be in full control of this fight, I think that's when snowball rolling downhill. He just gets his game really going, and I think he's got a real good chance RDA to do that even earlier. Um, this is if RDA wasn't old, I would feel really comfortable picking him. This is like the exact type of fight he thrives in. I mean, Anthony Pettis was supposed to be like the same. Honestly, there's a lot of similarities between where Pettis was at the time and where Fiziev is now. And then RD was just like, yeah, I am the pressure, I am the rock, and you are screwed. That's really a thing he can do very well. The only question is whether the chin's still there. And it's held up. He's fought 50 minutes in his last two fights, and he had some moments, but nothing that is outside of the pale or kind of okay. That is actually encouraging. He didn't get buzzed and died. He would take a shot that maybe shouldn't have, or maybe might not have taken that same shot a few years ago, but he got back on his horse, did the right things, and worked through. The more I've thought about this fight, the better I feel about picking Rafael dos Anjos, just because I think his game lines up really, really well against Fiziev. And especially if he gets the ball rolling early, like if RDA comes out and backs Fiziev up to the cage and gets a takedown in the first 3 minutes, then this fight's
Game
just
over.
over.
Yeah.
I just don't think Fiziev is going to be able to have the wherewithal to stand up, kind of reset and keep moving and not just start sucking his energy down because RDA is really, really good at it. So I'm taking RDA to win outright, and I think he's going to be durable enough. Also, though, I won't be stunned. He's 38, I think. Won't be
Mm-hmm.
shocked if Fiziev hits real hard, and if he just goes and like spinning back kicks him in the gut and RDA falls over, it won't be stunning. But the issues we've seen from RDA haven't been that his chin is gone. Like
No.
he's lost a little bit in athleticism, but mostly he's just been beat by bigger dudes who grappled him. That ain't Fiziev. Fiziev's not a bigger dude. He's not grappling him. This feels like it's a really good fight for him. But Fiziev's the one who called for it. He's the one who came out, pitched this, wanted it, and so he may well know stuff that we don't. And this might be his coming out party. We're gonna find
Yeah,
out. It's a good
Fiziev
fight.
is Fiziev is excellent takedown defense. Like really, really good. Probably really underrated heading into this fight, but that is a big question for me, Jed. When the fight actually gets down, if it gets down, how will he be able to deal with it? Because I thought I mean, for months I thought Glover takes Yuri down, fight's over. I know it's not the same thing here, but I feel like RDA could just sort of wear on Fiziev, but maybe Fiziev has just got an incredible attack off of his back and can get back to his feet. Who the hell knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe he knows something that we don't. We haven't seen yet.
We're going to find out.
The big question I have for this fight, and Jed, you can answer this maybe. Can RDA win this without mixing the martial arts? Basically, does he have to get to the ground? Does he have to tie this up on the cage? Can he just win this in a straight-up kickboxing match?
No. I mean, if it was a straight-up kickboxing match, no.
Well, I mean,
I think
MMA,
he doesn't necessarily need – yeah, no. But, I mean, I don't think he necessarily has to secure takedowns. But if he comes out there and at no point shoots at all – and he's not even like a huge shoot guy. He does some, but like mostly he gets you back to the fence and gets pretty clean entries because he's got you where you can't move. And he needs to be doing some of that. He needs to roughhouse inside. He needs to do that stuff, I think. That's not to say that if this fight spends the majority on the feet, I don't think he can have success. That's part of why I feel really confident in him, is that I think he can compete on the feet. And that's the thing about Fiziev has shown pretty good takedown defense. He hasn't. I think RDA is the best wrestler he's faced as far as somebody who's going to actively try to put him down or get clinches, look at duck unders and stuff like that. And also, I think RDA is the best at mixing his entries, which makes you a much better wrestler. Like look at who Fiziev has fought. Like Bobby Green, hell of a fighter, not a huge wrestler, and he's not. And when he does choose to wrestle, he's not shooting in behind jab, jab, body kick, shot. Like that's a combination that RDA can run comfortably here. And that makes you have to think about and process a lot of different things. And it's like Rogan always says about Frankie Edgar, or Anik or whatever. It's like Frankie Edgar is more than the sum of his parts, because even if he's shooting a bad takedown that you can stuff easily, now it's another thing you have to think about. I think he needs that to be as competitive as he can on the feet. But I think if he does that and this fight still spends most of it on the feet, I still think he could theoretically win this fight. I wouldn't pick him to, but he is not a sitting duck if he can't score takedowns, as long as he's mixing it all pretty well.
As far as I remember, Eddie Alvarez is in recent Dos Anjos fights. Eddie Alvarez is really the only guy to really totally murder RDA on the feet.
That's it, and that's the big question for me. Is that is the fight that has made me think, because I think everything lines up really well for RDA. I think being the small cage hugely beneficial to his game and how his game works. I think the style is clean. That's a good point, actually. Because he is such a good pressure fighter. He has the experience over 25 minutes. I think that body kick that he throws very, very aggressively is a money weapon in this fight. And just as a way to corral Fiziev and keep Fiziev having to work different things and not just having free reign on the feet. I think, like I said, if RDA was in no way compromised, I'd feel really comfortable that he goes in here and trucks Fiziev, because I think he's a tremendous fighter. But he's definitely compromised, and I think Fiziev certainly has the potential and ability to Eddie Alvarez him. And so that's what I said. If that's just what happens in the first 5 minutes, I won't be shocked in any regard, but my pick is going to assume that RDA doesn't get that done.
All right.
What is one fight under the radar that should be getting eyes but isn't? Mine is Courtney Casey versus Antonina Shevchenko. Antonina's lost 3 of her last 4 fights. She is an average fighter. So, I mean,
it's not an under the radar fight. It feels like that. Right. That feels like that's you saying, what's an under the radar bet? Because like bet Courtney Casey, which is I'm fine with. I've got action on Courtney Casey.
What's the line on?
Yeah, for similar reason.
Plus, she's a dog.
She is plus 140. She is Courtney Casey is plus 145 right now. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by it. The only thing that I think, Courtney Casey has a really bad habit of losing split decision. She probably should win, which usually means something about the way you're fighting is not the best. But also, I think some of it is just that Shevchenko is a name that means a lot, and Courtney Casey has lost a lot, especially in recent years. And so I think there's a lot of aspirational behind making Antonina a favorite, but I think Courtney Case is a better fighter than she is. So I'm picking her to win this fight. So I agree with that. I don't think this fight is under the radar though, because I don't think this fight's going to be that fun. It could be okay, but I don't think it's going to be a great scrap or whatever.
Shevchenko really hasn't been in any. Antonia hasn't been in any fun fights really. I can't really recall any.
Yeah, I mean she. I don't know. It was kind of cool when she tends to lose fun.
Yeah,
Like
she's one of those fighters. Yeah.
She tends to get submitted unless it's Caitlin Chukagian or whatever, because Caitlin Chukagian has never finished a person in her life. But like, Andrea Lee triangled her. That was dope. Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, she's not like the most fun fighter. It's very weird. She's had a very interesting career.
Yeah.
The correct answer to this question is the first fight of the card. Ronnie Lawrence, Saidi Hakhramonov is a banger. It's a really good fight. Two very good bantamweight prospects that I'm high on both of these guys. So one of them has to lose. I'm very high on Ronnie Lawrence. I know Dana White is very high on Ronnie Lawrence. Dana had a lot of good things to say about him coming off of the Contender Series. Ronnie's a dog, man. And Hakhramonov has been waiting to get back in there since the Trevin Jones submission. Took that fight on pretty short notice, and now he's got a full camp and then some for this one. So love this fight. I think it's going to kick off, this card's going to kick off with a bang because this fight's going to be really good. Love this fight. Casey, what's yours?
I'm going just for pure. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Is Michael Johnson versus Jamie Malarkey?
I think that's the correct answer.
Just because you don't know what Michael Johnson you're going to get. Because Michael Johnson, sometimes there's moments, it's like, oh, that's the best lightweight in the world. For like moments.
Dude, I wanted to bet on Jamie Malarkey just because like I think Malarkey should win this fight. But also Michael Johnson, after I don't remember how many fights he had lost in a row, but it was a good number of them. He looked arguably the best he's looked since he knocked out Dustin Poirier against Alan Patrick. And sure, and like Alan Patrick is not an easy guy either, but he just looked unbelievable in that fight. And so it's like, I don't know, maybe Michael Johnson put it together some. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm totally with you on this, Casey. I think whatever Michael Johnson we get, that fight is going to be fun as hell. It's just whether it's like, oh crap, Michael Johnson is still like a real dude here or not. But yeah, that fight's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I think Johnson's a super live underdog in this fight. What's he, plus 200, plus 195, something of that nature? Because I mean, he's losing, but it's not like he's getting deaded by a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
like he's a couple of submissions, couple decisions.
But outside of that,
but I think Josh Emmett knocked him out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't count that.
Josh Emmett knocked him out, but since then
he was winning. He was beating Emmett. He was
He was
winning against Moises. Thiago Moises. If Michael Johnson is up 2-0 coming to the third round, put all your money in Malarkey. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Listen, the fight is great.
Plan, honestly.
I didn't pick this one because if you ask most people about this card, because it's a fight night card, but a spectacular main event. And if people are talking about like what they like on the card, Johnson Malarkey is like number 2 or number 3 outside.
Yeah, I mean,
including the main event.
Know Michael Johnson's name. Nobody knows anybody else here.
What's the wiki test on this one?
I kind of dig this card. At first, I know there's
it's
no big names
bad.
on it. Yeah, I like all the matchups. Good. I like the matchups on it. Yeah, I was like, all right. And I
They're
like
all competitive.
It's not just filled in with a bunch of Contender Series guys just trying to get their fights through. I mean, these are good fights.
It's just gonna get lost in the shuffle because it's right after 276.
This is they shouldn't have had a card.
Yeah, Long Island, London, 277 follows it. Right after 277, it's just one of those cards. It's just like it's there and it's good, and there's a lot to like about it. But it's just when we're talking about the July slate of events and things that happen in July, we're not going to be talking very much about this one unless something crazy happens in the main event.
Yeah,
just because of everything.
And then by Tuesday, we forget about it.
We're already on.
We'll be on to Long Island. Yeah, we'll be on to Long Island.
Also, generous of you to say by Tuesday. Like by tomorrow morning, this one's going to be a wrap.
Sherman versus Vandera. Jed, I'm going to let you kick this one off because you are a fan of what did you say on No Bets Bar? Bad heavyweights. And
bad heavyweight fights are bad heavyweight fights.
3-fight losing streak versus a 4-fight losing streak.
4-fight losing streak. Yep. No, you're dead correct. This is an awful fight. I don't know why it's happening in the UFC. I don't know why it's on the main card. I don't know what we're doing here. This doesn't just like we don't like this is the exact kind of fight that just shouldn't be here. And I want to preface this by saying no disrespect, but honestly, I don't even care if I'm disrespecting them because I think they both are aware enough to recognize that in their current positions, they probably should have been cut and they need to go back and get up some wins before they come back or go to Bellator or to PFL. Whatever you want to do is fine in that regard. But like this is when I say that fight card should be 10 fights because it's like a really ideal amount of time. Like, right? Like that is probably like a 10 fight card should take 5 hours roughly, which is honestly still long for any sporting event for you to be like, hey, fan, please engage with us for 5 hours. But it's a damn sight better than 12, 14. Here's a 7 hour fight card. You're just in it the whole day. No other sport demands of its fans to do that unless you're going to watch every football game on Sunday or whatever. And most people don't want to do that. They just want to watch theirs. And so it's like you could just do 10 fights and you could easily cut this fight from this card and you could hand both men their walking papers and say, hey, you're both relatively young. You've shown some promise at some points, but you just aren't doing the thing right now. I need you to go get some wins somewhere else and then we can talk about it. Or if they don't ever pick up wins, then you don't and you didn't lose anything. But you damn sure don't put it on the main card. It's just, I don't. The reason 276 was so awesome on paper? They didn't have any freaking heavyweights or any freaking light heavyweights fighting. And then we brought back this fight for reasons I cannot fathom.
I will say this. I am, as you know, Jed, I've sat in the co-host chair for No Bets Barred on an episode. You know, I don't play the ponies, if you will, but I do like to look at the betting lines, see what is interesting. I will say, if I were to bet on this card, I'm jumping right on GC's back right now with Bandera by submission. Now it's at plus 750. Now it's at plus 750. I think it was plus 550. I think that's exactly how this fight's going to go. I think Bandera's going to take him down and sub him. Like, I really think that's what's going to happen. So I love that betting line. Yeah, I love that betting line. But I also love the vigor you placed on Chase Sherman to win by decision. I like that one. And I love how you also placed, like, you had like 4 bets and a prop on the card, and then you went to the Kennedy and Suchuku fight, and then you immediately put 3 bets on the fight, which is amazing.
Look, Kennedy, I'm pretty sure he's going to win. He's so big. He's just the biggest man, and Carl Roberson's a middleweight. That is literally all of my brilliant analysis of that fight.
That guy's big.
Shukru is enormous, and Carl Roberson's a middleweight. He's gonna have like a 10-inch reach advantage or something like comically large. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's almost 10. I think it's 9.5 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something cartoonish. Man, huge.
This fight will be fine if it ends quickly. It'll be not fine if it doesn't. Like, if this doesn't end in 5 minutes.
Please go 15 minutes. I hope this fight
is going to be way funnier. It's going to be way funnier if it's bad heavyweights for 15 minutes, which I think is what we're getting, honestly. It's not like Jared Vanderhoff's like a good takedown artist.
What was that fight? It was Mark Hunt and someone else in Denver for pay-per-view, and it was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. I loved it so much. Oh,
I don't know who Mark Hunt fought in Denver.
Maybe it was Mark Hunt, Ben Rothwell. It was just, and I remember talking to Joe Silva. That was back when the matchmakers would talk to the media, paper. And like, and Joe Silva's just like, "Why did I book heavyweights in Denver? Why did I do that?"
Yeah, it's really bad
I told him this is the most.
I mean, they did that shit in Mexico City to Kane.
Yeah, Kane, poor Kane. But that's where C-level Kane came from. All right,
C-level Kane. C-level Kane.
Bilal versus Brady. That is set for Abu Dhabi, UFC 281, I believe it's called.
October 22nd, though. That's so far away.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, like, it's 281, but as it stands right now, 278 would be August, 279 would be September. This would technically be 280, unless they're doing 2 pay-per-views in October. So someone brought that up to me. I'm like, that's actually interesting. But I love the fight. And unfortunately, on to the next one, I said this is the fight Bilal was going to get, even after that win over Vicente Luque, because
he didn't knock him out.
No, and it's not even that. It's Yeah, and he wasted his call out. Instead of calling out Chimaev and cutting a promo on Chimaev, he called out Colby, which there was zero chance he was getting that fight. Now, if he went all in on Chimaev a week after the Gilbert Burns fight and just blasted him then, because he went on and did all these interviews afterwards calling out Chimaev, but when it counted and the lights were brightest, you called out Colby and fine, like reach for the stars. You might get something, but Chimaev was right there for you. When the lights are on, the mic, like we could have been playing that soundbite for months. You made the t-shirts, you did all that, and that's great. But when the moment counted, you called out Colby, and that's why you're not getting the Chimaev fight. You did that after the Wonder Boy fight, too. You called for a title shot when you should have called for Chimaev. And if you had called for Chimaev then, you would have been fighting in Jacksonville against Chimaev, not Gilbert Burns, in my opinion. So I like this fight. This is the fight that had to happen because he wasn't getting Chimaev. This is the only other option because he wasn't fighting Burns. He's not fighting for the title. He's not fighting Colby. He's not fighting Masvidal. This was the fight. And I give him props because Bilal could still just let time pass. Yeah, he could let time pass and get a top 5 guy or someone near him. Instead, he said yes to fighting a guy like Sean Brady, who's undefeated, surging up the division, coming off a win over Michael Chiesa. He's got to be as healthy as he's been in a long time. I take my hat off to Bilal for taking this fight, 100%. But this was the fight, unless he wanted to wait till next year to fight.
Yeah, he shouldn't take this fight. I agree. Props to him for taking it. Sean Brady's going to kick his ass, and that's going to be the end of Bilal with the name Muhammad as a title challenger. But, I mean, it's a great fight. I'm really excited for it.
This is the fight the UFC should have made. I love it. Yeah.
I think it's a great fight. I think it makes total sense if you're trying to get Sean Brady up the division, which is what they're trying to do, obviously, because Bilal Muhammad is not someone that they're like trying to be invested in. Again, props to him. Like that dude is legitimately down to clown, and that's a rarity. And nothing but respect for Bilal Muhammad for taking this fight. I think it's a bad fight for him to take, though.
Yeah, but I think this is good, though, because as far as fans, we're going to actually see a lot from Bilal if he wins this fight, especially that we haven't seen. Say, okay, we know we can wrestle. We know we can dominate strikers. That's all we know, honestly, as far as top-level competition.
The problem is just that this fight doesn't move him at all. Like, because this fight doesn't get him a title shot. He's still 1 win away.
But Bilal's fight, it wasn't going to move Luque. It wasn't going to move Wonder Boy when he fought Wonder Boy.
No, yeah.
That's what I mean. Every fight's like that. For every fight, one person is not going to move. And to
yes, but some of those people I think are in different positions, right? Luque, I agree. I think this is very similar. I'm not sure that Bilal was a good fight for Luque at the time, just because there was no upside for him. But like Wonder Boy is not really making a run to the title, and like sometimes you need to fight backwards. I'm not confident Bilal needed to fight backwards, given that he has been moving up steadily, and he hasn't lost. My view has just always been that you make your run to the title moving upward, and when you take a loss, then you have to fight backward and defend your position for 1 or 2 times before you can try and move upwards again. That's not how it works mostly, but like sometimes the other thing is sometimes you just want to fight because that's your job and that's how you get paid. And maybe that's it. Maybe Bilal Muhammad, dude obviously thinks he's going to beat Sean Brady or else he wouldn't be a fighter he wouldn't signed. And maybe he just wants the paycheck. And he wants to Leon Edwards his way up the division by beating a ton of dudes. But this is a tough-ass dude to fight. Like,
yeah.
Rachmanov, like Shavkat's the only other dude that I'd be like, that's a worse fight for you to take. I'm super high on Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady's title challenger.
Yeah. And listen, the UFC is doing Bilal. Bilal wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. He's known there. He's got fans there, and plus, just he wanted to fight there. That's where he wanted to fight Chimaev. So I think this is kind of like, all right, Bilal, like you could fight in Abu Dhabi, but you have to fight this Brady guy. The one knock I have on this fight is that it's not a fight night main event. I would have loved to have seen this for 5 rounds because I wish this was a 5-round fight night headliner. I would love to see Brady in rounds 4 and 5 because he started to fade a little bit in that Chiesa fight. Chiesa started to put it on him, and things are getting a little hairy down the stretch for Brady. So I would have loved to have seen 5 rounds of this, but the matchup is the matchup to make. 100%. This is where this is always going to go. I think after Bilal called out Colby, I think this is exactly where we're heading. And I've said this many times. Like this is the fight the UFC is going to want to put together. It's just a matter of making everybody happy here, and then I think just doing this in Abu Dhabi makes is a Bilal's probably happy that he gets to fight in Abu Dhabi, whether he's fighting Chimaev or Brady, it doesn't matter. But props to Bilal for taking this one, and props all around. This is a good fight, big opportunity for Sean Brady, and let's go. I'm ready.
I still give this fight like a 10% chance of happening. It's freaking in late October.
October's a long way away. A lot of opportunity for stuff to change.
Yeah, so if it happens, cool, but yeah. How are we looking on the broadcast?
We're good. We're good.
There's no way a thing can be starting for another half hour.
Dude, yeah, they're just doing the opening promo right now for the main event.
Yeah, a fight dropped off. They're gonna take forever to get people
in the cage. You know what I'm gonna do? Look at this.
They're gonna be at the desk for. They're gonna be at the desk for at least 30 minutes.
I'm adding 30 minutes.
All right.
I love it. I think that's probably pretty close to accurate.
Yep. Let's keep going. Did we really lose a fight, or do we gain our time back? How dare you, Josh Hogan?
What you gained was more time with us.
Yeah.
You gained more time with us, Josh Hogan. So it's a gift. You should use it to ask meaningful, dope questions.
You got Lake Jed, so Limp Bizkit's first album wasn't bad.
Was that Chocolate Starfish Hot Dog?
No.
I have no idea what the first album was.
It was the one. Well, I think the first like known album was the one that they did the cover of Faith, like George Michael's Faith.
Yeah, I don't know.
Funny.
People talking about Limp Bizkit in the comments. I don't know why, but
funny story. When I was 16, I went to we went on a little family trip, and I went to there's multiple stops. So it's like Virginia, Pennsylvania, a couple other places, and we ended up in Virginia at Friends of Friends. I never met these people in my life. But one of the sons of the homeowner was going out to a bar and was like, "Oh, I know the owner. Like, I'll get you in." I'm like, "I'm only 16." He goes, "No, I'll get you in." So it was a 21 plus bar. Oh, this live music will go. The live band was Limp Bizkit, and they got booed out of they got booed out the building. It was bad. Like no one liked him. No one cared to see him. And they got booed out the building. This is before they got like.
Did people break stuff?
Yeah. Nice. Way to go, Casey.
They did. It was to them. It was my way or the highway. You know what I mean?
Dude, it is. I always wonder about like musical acts of that nature. Like, how do you get started? Because that does feel like Limp Bizkit is a very narrow window of like. All right, are you just going to go to like an open mic night at a coffee house and be named Limp Bizkit and play your stuff? Like, that's not going to go well for you. It's like, I'm just always very interested in how that works.
Significant Other was a banger of an album at the time, though. That was a good album. That was where Nookie was on And Together Now, the one with Method Man. That was a great song. There were a bunch. There were a bunch of bangers on that one.
The only new metal with the umlaut I could ever get into was Deftones. After that, it was
I like them.
Everything kind of was a blur after that.
I'm not super versed on new metal.
How would you rate your wakeboarding skills, Jed?
I am competent, and that's about it. I lived on the ocean, so like we didn't do that a lot. And when I was in high school, I did it some up in the riverways, but I can go wake to wake. That's about all I can do.
When I was putting together the best of Donald Cerrone's kind of quotes over the last 15 years, there was a good span of about 3 events where all he talked about was wakeboarding.
Wakeboarding, yeah, dude, he got like super into it.
He was about. He's like, I'm gonna be a pro wakeboarder. Like he was like for a while.
Dude, wakeboarding is fun as hell. It is really fun, and I'm sure if you're like the better you are at it, the more fun it is. If you can just like do flips, that's probably awesome.
Is wakeboarding is that like snowboarding to skiing, kind of like the cool kids snowboard and the dorks ski, like the cool kids wakeboard and the dorks just water ski on the.
I should probably. I don't know anyone that water skis. I grew up with a bunch of people that wakeboarded.
Yeah, well, yeah, wakeboards.
Also,
Last time
water
I
skiing
saw,
feels like you can't do anything cool on water skis. I could be wrong on that, mind you, but it just doesn't feel like you can do nearly as many fun things you can on wakeboard.
I think all you
go
can do is like
watch.
put like a hot like chick on your shoulders and just
Well, I mean, that is cool.
that's about all you
Oh,
can do.
come on. John Candy on The Great Outdoors, where he goes to one ski and then to no skis. I mean, that's pretty badass.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
if you can do barefoot water skiing, that's incredibly hardo, and I respect the hell out of it. But like that feels like that's it. Whereas like you could do flips on wakeboards.
All right.
Flips
They
are
just
cool.
put like a Rafael graphic on there, and I was like, ooh, which one are they talking about? And it's Dos Anjos.
Could be any of them.
It could be Alves. Could be any of them. What do you guys think about the Sean O'Malley eye poke with Pedro Munhoz? Should they run it back? Sean was checking a lot of leg kicks. Why did Pedro not take the full 5 minutes?
There is no 5 minutes for an eye poke, so that's the first place we should start.
Eliminate that. Okay.
Eye pokes aren't cup checks. It's stupid. They should get it, but they don't. It's sort of just at the discretion of the referee.
And actually,
And
even
it also didn't matter because the doctor was just like, he can't do this. So that's it.
Yeah. Even cup checks. The reason the 5 minute thing is because they actually you don't have 5 minutes either, but because the doctor can't pull your pants down and look at your testicles, that's why you have 5 minutes. That's the only reason why.
Conversing. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I muted
testicles.
myself. Sorry.
Yeah. You gotta funnel this beer, dude, or what? Come on, let's go.
I'm just saying that I would have thought I would be the guy who is potentially in trouble with our staff, but Casey's out here dropping testicles on air. So.
Dropping testicles. Should they run it back?
No. I mean, sure.
No,
we talked about this on BTL. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's a good fight for Sean anymore because I think Pedro is beating him, and I feel like you want Sean to do good things, but there's also not anything else that makes a ton of sense. So, sure, who cares? I have limited interest in this fight, honestly.
It could go either way for me. If they run it back, cool, like it's fine. But this is again, Sean has done for himself is he has created back pocket fights. Cheeto Vera is a back pocket fight. This is now a back pocket fight. And you could do either of those two fights anytime. And they make sense and there's a story behind them. So this could just be another back pocket fight or it's something they run back right away. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. Now for Pedro Munhoz, if he really wants this fight, I would feel bad for him if they don't run it back right away. But if you're in the O'Malley camp, it's just another back pocket fight for you. Either way, you're fine.
Yeah, I think that's the point. If Pedro wants to fight, run it back. Like if this is Pedro's thing, because Pedro's the one who, again, I'm gonna get on my soapbox really, really briefly. Because I don't. I've said it a lot. Sean O'Malley should have lost that fight by DQ because he cheated.
Yes.
Now, whether he cheated inadvertently or not, it doesn't matter. He cheated. If I shoot a gun outside my house and I'm not trying to shoot you in the face, but you walk in front of me, guess what? I still shot you, and I'm the person who is an asshole in this situation. Pedro Munhoz, if we're living in a world where a bad thing happened and it was illegal, one of those two parties did nothing wrong, and one of them objectively did the illegal thing, and thus they shouldn't receive the same treatment. And so Pedro Munhoz lost half his paycheck because neither of them got it. He got a no contest instead of a fight that he was ahead in. And he now maybe has to deal with the backlash from fans and maybe has to go and fight him again in a different fight in different circumstances. While he did, I cannot stress this enough, 0 things wrong. He did nothing wrong. Sean O'Malley, I don't think he was out there trying to, Three Stooges him in the eye, but he did an illegal thing. And this is the only sport in the world where illegal things aren't punished. It's just like, oh, well, you feel bad about it. It's okay. It's like, oh, I didn't mean to grab that dude's face mask, but I did, and that's 15 yards. That's just how it goes. So sorry, you were in control of your strikes. Don't poke people in the eyes. It's not that hard. Fun fact, Khabib never once was penalized in the UFC. Never once got a talking to or the ref stopped it. Never had a fighter. You know why? Because you just didn't cheat. Because it's not that hard. You could do it if you are really trying not to. That's my soapbox. I'm off it now.
Good stuff. By the way, Casey, you should get props. You were very close to actually getting the time right for the first fight. You're about 3 minutes ahead.
Oh,
they put a countdown on there, and then they just took it away.
Their countdown's at 22 minutes. Is that right?
Around the
3 minutes the other way.
Right now.
Okay. Yeah, sounds about right.
Price is Right rules. You would have won both showcases for that, Casey. So well done.
So the moral of this story is keep those questions coming because we got time.
Yes. Let's go.
Oh, and so much of this the Pedro Munhoz backlash, I really feel it came from Joe Rogan. If you listen,
you went the other way, by the way. You went the other way.
It definitely didn't help. It definitely did not help.
Yeah,
it was bad.
The Rogan thing was not good. Yeah, it should be like 20, 21 minutes now.
Oh, whoops, I'm the wrong way.
Yeah, you went 3 minutes the other way.
Oops. Sorry.
We're back at the desk. See, you either get Karen Bryant, Alan Joban, and Rashad Evans, or you get Lake Jed, me, and EKC. So,
I mean, I know which group I'd take.
Yeah.
I know which group I'd take. Just saying.
Where's that question?
We're talking about wakeboarding. We're talking about eye pokes.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Karen Bryant's not talking about wakeboarding.
I'm planning to bet on all of the following underdogs, but I want to know which you think has the best chance to get a win tonight. Well, all right. Which are the following underdogs? Pull up.
You have to give the following, or else this is.
Wait, how about what's the best underdog pick you feel? I think we already said.
I'm on a couple. I think
RDA.
I think RDA and Courtney Casey are good. I have an underdog bet on Chase Sherman. I think because the price is so high and Douglas Silva de Andrade has proven to be really good at winning fights, he is absolutely getting his ass kicked in. It's not like the worst underdog bet, but even though I'm not picking him to win that, but like those are the underdogs Michael Johnson, live dog, I think, depending on what Michael Johnson shows up. I think there's a few on this card because it's a well-matched card. The fights are mostly competitive and no one cares about them because the name value is not high at all, but the fight should be really good tonight.
Yeah, and if you're going to bet Michael Johnson, don't bet Michael Johnson at plus 195.
By KO, baby. By KO.
Yeah. Find the KO. Find the KO prop, which is probably much higher than that.
All right.
I'll pull it up just in case anyone's like getting ready to pull the trigger. Don't be mad. Don't put multiple units on this. You put like a quarter unit. Plus 350. So yeah, get the juiced odds because if Johnson's going to win, he's not winning the decision. What are the chances?
Love this question.
Which is his next title defense as a co-main event? Okay, so on Heck of a Morning, someone asked which is a bigger fight. Like I think they meant like which does better on pay-per-view. Adesanya versus Pereira, because the UFC is going to build the hell out of that with storylines and clips galore. Or John Jones versus Stipe, which you'd think namesake-wise, Jones versus Stipe, clearly.
John Stipe.
But a lot of people are like, you know what? Just put him on the same card. And Adesanya is not going to headline over Jones Stipe. So I would say
I don't think Adesanya accepts that fight. I do not think he would agree to be the co-main event to John Jones.
Yeah.
Not without reason. Like if I was him, I don't think that you're ever putting him as a co-main event.
Yeah, if it's MSG and they're just building this blockbuster and they give him pay-per-view points, you think he would say no?
I don't know. If Izzy can make a couple
because
extra
that's the other thing.
Being the co-main event, maybe.
But the other thing too is like, I don't know that maybe the UFC wants to do it, but I feel like that is going like if you did that because Stipe is boring, that like presser is just John versus Izzy and Stipe and Bahia just kind of sit there and chill. Just like, all right, let these two and it's like these two dudes actually aren't fighting each other. They just hate each other. And then these other two dudes who they're fighting are just like, whatever, and just being chill. So that would be the only situation I think that he could theoretically co-main. And I'm really not confident that he would accept it, that the UFC has any interest in it, or that it would be a good idea because it might be bad for all of that.
I would say it's that Conor Oliveira for the belt, maybe just because same management team.
He would do that.
Yeah.
That I think he would do.
Yeah, the money.
And then maybe if like Khabib came back and fought Oliveira, maybe he would do that one. Because
But, like,
that's a big one. That'd be huge.
I mean, yeah, he would do that for sure, I think.
Maybe what this question is really asking is his lackluster performance. Is he gone down a level? Is he not a main event pay-per-view guy anymore?
No, he's still a main event pay-per-view.
Of course. I mean, I believe so. I believe he's lost zero value. I believe not everyone complaining about his last fight are still going to go. They're go. You know what? Well, I want to see him. I want to see this next fight, though. I don't think. I mean, to me, I know it's not the same thing, but it's the Mayweather fight. Everyone complains about Mayweather. Then everybody goes, "Oh, we got suckered." Then the next Mayweather fight came around, I'm like, "Ooh, you know what? This is the fight. I'm going to pay for it." And then you feel the same way afterward. I know it's not the same, but
could be. It's similar, and it could be. I think it's not. I think people care about the Pereira fight, and so they're going to do that. And so I certainly agree in terms of next fight. But if his next fight instead of with Pereira was Andre Muniz, I think he is suffering a drop in buy rate. I don't think that changes who he is as far as a draw and a relative position of stardom in the sport because there are so few. But if he goes out and lays another egg, I think you start to have that. I think that becomes a real concern, frankly, it's not a concern because I mentioned this in various points programs. In the end of the day, we're all going to forget about this because we all forget about it for Anderson and for George and for John. And we forget about it for all of them because time heals all wounds. And when we're instead just looking back at the resume, you can just look at that resume and say, hey, that's a good win. That's a good win. That's a good win. That's a good win. And you won't recontextualize it as much. I mean, like, it's a good win, but he never got out of third gear. And that was really lame. And it kind of was annoying at the time. So it's one of those things. I think it can actively, though. If he lays another egg like that, I think that can start to really affect his ability to draw. Because I will tell you right now, I think it already has. And I don't think in opportunity cost. Because, Mike, we talked about it on BTL. You know who never laid an egg when the lights were brightest and when it mattered the most? Conor McGregor delivered. And he talked a mess of game, and he usually backed it up. And he lost. I'm not saying the man didn't lose. But what I'm saying is I think his stardom, there are many factors at play, but a very serious part of it was that when the lights showed up, he didn't just win. He fought hard and to do the damn thing every time. And sometimes he lost, but he was able to recover from that and move forward because at 205, he obliterated Eddie Alvarez on the biggest stage of the world. Like, he didn't come out to cruise to a win in third gear and just, oh, this is where I'm the safest. I'm just one level up, and that's fine. He came out to put on a show. And it's an entertainment sport. Like, you have to do that as well to reach those heights. And we've all talked about Izzy being the next big star. And he still is to some extent because there's nobody else taking it from him. There's no other huge developing stars. But I think the reason he is not this like cross-cultural icon right now is because he has not delivered those moments outside of the Whitaker fight. Like the first Whitaker fight.
Costa.
If coming off that – yes, Costa was absolutely it, and then there was like the weird backlash to the humping incident or whatever. But if coming off that first Whitaker fight, you had told me this dude is about to be the next Conor McGregor, I'd been like, I believe it, because that fight looked like Jose Aldo fight. And then his next fight, he comes in and torches some dude, and then he goes up to Jan and fights Jan and torches him. Like, that path was there for him, and instead, he fought these many questionable, not that interesting, like weird fights where he super prioritized victory over performance to some extent. And he got the W, so you can't argue with that result. But like I said, I think that there's a world where if he cared a little more about doing that sort of thing, he would be a monstrous star on the sport, the likes of which we have barely ever seen before.
I see what you're saying. I'm not 100% there, but yeah, I see it.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, everything you
totally
say makes
wrong,
sense.
But,
yeah, I'm one of those.
Listen, John's the same way. John's the same way. John had
John.
special performances. We thought he was going to be a massive, every time he fights, million pay-per-view buy kind of fighter.
Then
And he
he
was
got way
so
too
close,
excited
and he
about.
never got there. Yeah, and he never got there. And Izzy could be very popular and could be, and people could, obviously
He's
everyone
John
knows who
Jones.
Izzy is. Yeah, he could be a star. Like, he could be a star, but there's a difference between being a star and being a mega star. Because even throughout the week, and we mentioned this before, we don't like to talk traffic and stuff like that. The most interesting thing all week in the eyes of the MMA fan, at least on MMA Fighting, was not Izzy. It was not the co-main event between Volkanovski and Holloway. It was Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira. That was the most interesting thing.
It was Sean
That's
Strickland.
what everybody cared about.
It was
Pereira
Sean
too, though.
Yeah,
Pereira too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta have
even before the press conference, even before the press conference, Pereira, a lot of buzz.
And credit the UFC for super favorable matchmaking.
Oh, they know what they're doing.
UFC for very favorable matchmaking and booking those guys on the same card. So UFC actually, we criticize their promotion sometimes, but this was a home run as far as.
They're tremendous.
Their
tremendous
promotion
at
remains.
Yeah.
Their promotion remains horrendous, but they are good matchmakers and always have been. They mostly don't make bad matchups. They just don't promote matchups at all. And but yeah, my last point on this, and we can move to a new question. I don't feel like we need to spend too much time. Is that what you said about Mike, about the traffic and about Strickland and Pereira? That used to be Izzy. Izzy used to be the guy who was taking traffic from the stars, and he had that in him, and he still maybe does. But I think where he's going to settle is a John Jones level of star, which is a big star, and without the other problems John brings to the table, that maybe is better for him. But I don't know if he's entirely missed it. Maybe he could get the magic back at some point, but the way he is fighting, and so it is very clearly a calculus he has made, and it might be the right one, but I do believe firmly that he is sacrificing like a next level of stardom to get wins, which maybe that's the right call. He's the only one who can make that decision for him in his career. I can't, because I would personally say that he could accept more risk. He would still win these fights, but he would increase his stardom by a lot. But again, it's his career. He has to run it.
Yep. This Pereira fight's massive for him, and not just because of the story and everything else, but for the exact reasons you say. If he goes out there and just trucks Alex Pereira, I'm curious. I'm wondering what the conversations will be like.
But what if what happens, which is most likely to happen, he just technically outpoints him for 5 rounds?
That we're gonna have the same conversation.
I think that's the end of Izzy as a superstar talk.
I just don't.
I think at that point, Izzy can just be a star, a considerable star. But
like Shevchenko, just someone who just wins and dominates.
Yeah, he's a dominant fighter and there. But if he goes, because that I mentioned earlier, that's where the lights are the brightest. That fight is the biggest of Izzy's career, and maybe it's not because of maybe the first Whitaker fight or whatever, but that is the fight that is going to define probably a good chunk of his legacy because of the backstory, because how much promotion the UFC is actually going to put into that fight, because of the narrative and where we're at about, hey man, you keep saying that when the lights are on are the brightest, that's when you shine like a diamond. And actually you have just sort of laid there like a turd. So maybe this time you should shine bright like a diamond. And if he comes out here and just edges out a lackluster kickboxing match, I think that kills him as his potential to be that next level star. And then we'll have to find someone somewhere else. Someone will come along. I thought Izzy was going to be it. I have big doubts on that now.
Or he could do what Danny Sabatello does, like we talked about earlier this week, and just lean into it.
Way better. It's way better.
Yep.
That is
lean into
instead of being indignant that people are have legitimate criticisms about
dominance is boring. That's a great line.
Yeah, you could just be yeah, it's a great line. Just be you just say that. You do any number of things other than I will not pretend to be the coolest person alive. God knows I'm not. But in my understanding of cool, it's mostly not caring what other people think of you. And the post fights where you get really mad that people are being mean to you because you're that just isn't cool. And Izzy used to be super cool. He should go back to being cool. It's a way better choice. Alex Pereira, that dude was cool all weekend. Be more that guy. That's way cooler.
Yeah, I've been high on Izzy, but man, he did drop the ball a lot, especially with the whole, I didn't take it personally. I just thought it was just an asshole statement. The whole like, I can do your
It
job, you
is.
can't do mine. It's like, can you imagine going to anywhere, like going to a Starbucks and going to the lady or the barista and going, I can do your job, you
Real
can't do
Karen
mine.
move.
It's just kind of a dick thing to say. I don't know why he said it. I mean, I know what he meant, but it was weird. And that
is.
chip on his shoulder is I know that's what drives him. That's what makes these fighters great. But something's weird about it. Yeah.
I wrote about that in Hot Tweets this today. It came out this morning or whatever, because somebody asked, like, why are you – because I felt very similar about some of Alex Volkanovski's statements after 276. Like, why don't you – like, what's your beef with Volkanovski? It's like, I have no beef with him in the cage. I think there's a legitimate argument that he's the best fighter that's ever lived. Like, I think that is a real argument. He's not the greatest. I want to make that clear. He's not the greatest featherweight. It's still Jose Aldo. But, like, especially at his current rate of development, there's a real case for me he's the best fighter we've ever seen, pound for pound. And I have nothing to say about his in-cage performance. But, like, did you guys watch the Last Dance Michael Jordan documentary? Like, all I did watching that, I was struck by, like, man, people laud Michael Jordan for being this, like, psychopathic competitor. He just seems like he'd be awful to have a beer with. And, like, I'm not wired to, like, take every perceived or not even real insult and build it like, nobody believed in me. Volkanovski, your minus 200 favorite. Like, Max and Max stands didn't believe in you, but people who actually bet with money and put real stakes behind it instead of internet words all believed in you. You were not like you don't need this chip on your shoulder. Yeah. But it's just like that's how competitive people like that are wired. And I'm just like, that's great. And that means you're going to be really successful and you're going to keep getting dubs. And that's what's important to you. So that's cool. But, like, I just suspect that you and I would not have the most fun conversations because I'm just not wired like that. I don't care. It's not like a lot of people don't like me. And that's totally fine. Cool. Sorry. They keep letting me come on these shows and say stuff. I'm sorry that that's making you mad.
People hate great wakeboarders. Yeah, they just jealous of your wakeboarding skills. That's all it is.
Maybe that's what it is. It's just...
All right, let's move on.
Yes.
We've talked about a lot about
a lot
this.
of time talking. It is 276 adjacent at least.
Yeah.
I agree. We got like 6 minutes, so Lake Jed, new mythical fighter. See, there you go.
Not be a good fighter. Let me just say, would not be a good fighter. I'm not sure any version of Jed is like a good fighter, but Lake Jed is certainly not a good fighter.
Why is Onama predicted so much to get a KO? I would imagine both guys have improved, and if the first one went to a decision, I would imagine the second one will go to a decision as well. Okay, because Onama had a full camp for this. Garrett Armfield did not have a full camp for this. Garrett Armfield, when they fought Onama, they were both featherweights. It was their last amateur fight. I think it was 4 years ago that they fought. Onama won the decision. It was a competitive fight. But since then, like, Onama, like, developmentally and just physically has leveled up. He's a huge guy compared to Garrett Armfield. Like, Garrett Armfield, his best weight class is a bantamweight. He's a 35er. He's a 35er.
Oh, yeah, he is.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm confident Onama will win. I think just the short notice nature of this fight, I could see Onama getting a finish here. But Armfield's very durable, and he could take a beating. And I feel like it's just going to be too much down the stretch. I don't know if Onama just goes out there and just bolts him. There's a chance that happens, but I could see Armfield I could see it being one of those situations where, like, damn, Garrett Armfield's real tough, and then Onama just kind of puts him out in the third. Like, referee steps in and just sort of saves him from himself. But I think Armfield's gonna have his moments. I just think this is a tough fight to get on basically 4 days notice when you weren't prepared.
You might be the only person
Very tough
for
for 4 days notice.
You might be the only. I've never seen these on Tapology. Guess what percentage of people are picking Onama?
97.
That's it. 97%.
Wow. Good.
That
good
is one of the highest percentages I've ever seen for a UFC fight. I've seen like 95s, but 97. That is way up there.
Especially for not like a flyweight title defense or something. Like, because like that's where those
Dude,
numbers
even
happen.
like
It's
Murphy was
Valentina
way more than that.
Shevchenko versus really? That's shocking. I would have
I mean,
the
Murphy's
best
still,
bet
like,
I've ever made. The best bet I've ever made in my life was betting against Lauren Murphy, and that was like she literally can't win this fight. There's no actual world where she could win this fight.
oh man.
Yeah. I'm familiar with both these guys. I've followed these guys for a while. Garrett,
like
I've
it.
talked to many times. Yeah, I mean, Garrett's good, man. He's going to be a good addition to the bantamweight division. I just feel like, man, he's in the UFC. You take that opportunity when it comes. His management team made it happen. You fought the guy before. There's some familiarity there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's icing on the cake to try to get one back and be a gigantic upset. I think Armfield's going to have moments in this fight just because he knows David so well. I just think he's just massively undersized for this. I mean, it's nice he didn't have to cut all the way to 35 for this one, but I mean, look, everyone thought David Onama was going to get trucked by Mason Jones in his UFC debut because he was up a weight class, and David hung in there and had a tremendous fight. I don't know if it's the same thing here, but I mean, I have Onama getting a late finish in this one, but I think Garrett's a scrapper, man. It's gonna be a good fight.
This fight wasn't booked because it's a rematch, right? It was just they just happened to happen.
They just needed a body on short
Okay,
notice.
that's what I was up. I didn't because
Onama was off the card.
Rematch. Huh?
Yeah, Onama was off the card. Like Onama booked to fight. I forget who he was booked to fight. All these movements happen.
Yeah.
So he was done, like, because it just ended, and he was off the card. Like, I confirmed he was off the card altogether, and then all of a sudden,
Austin Lingo, that's who he was fighting.
Austin Lingo, that's who it was, Austin Lingo. So I mean, I confirmed like he's not fighting, and all of a sudden, oh shoot, here comes Garrett Armfield to step in and save the day, and Onama's just suddenly back on the card. He went from not being on the card to being on the card against a guy he just happened to fight 4 years ago as an amateur. So good on both guys. Both get in there, and good on David Onama, because I think this is like the second or third time he's had a fight fall through. So,
this one's for you, Mr. Heck, because I think you know the most information about this one.
What do you think about Jimmy Flick unretiring? I'm not really that surprised. He has his reasons for that. You could actually go to the MMA Fighting. You can go to MMAfighting.com. Tremendous website.
Great website. What a great website. Arguably,
but
the
if
best
you want
in the world.
But within that Jimmy Flick piece, you can actually scroll to the bottom and you can listen to the entire 27-minute interview, which he goes through. He's dealing with a divorce, which doesn't always help.
Is that on the MMA Fighting Podcast Network?
It sure is, Jed. It sure is.
It's a great podcast network,
podcast
too.
Network. It's really good.
Unbelievable podcast network.
So that sort of. So here's the story. Here's the story about Jimmy Flick, because he actually tells it on the thing, but I'll give you the short version of it. He was thinking about it, and then there was rumblings within the promotion that he went from retired to active. So we reached out. I spoke to Jimmy before we broke the story, and he was like, "It's very possible. I'll let you know what's going to happen." And then 4 hours later, I get a text message saying, "I'm going to be back in the USADA pool tomorrow." And I was like, holy crap. Like, that happened so fast. Like, literally, it happened in a day. This wasn't like this wasn't like something it was a conversation with the UFC for like a month. This happened in a day. Like Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, it was Wednesday. Wednesday, it was just all of a sudden, like, he was retired on Tuesday. Wednesday, he's like, you know what? I think I'll come back and fight. And then did everything. Mick Maynard reached out to him, had a great conversation with him. He's like, yep, you can come back. We'll get you in there as soon as possible. Get back in USADA, and he's already back in the pool. So it happened in one day. All this happened in one day. It's crazy. But good on him. He's fun-ass fighter. Yeah. A lot left to give. Dude got a flying freaking triangle in his UFC debut against a tough guy. So when he retired, it was kind of shocking. But I think a lot of people, especially like the hardcore fans, are very excited that he's coming back.
I'm excited. I like it.
Dude, he's so fun.
I don't hate on these fighters unretiring. I get it. I mean, it's like you need a year and a half break. How long has he been out for? 2 years? About?
No. April of last year. April of last year is when he retired.
Okay. It's been a long year then.
Yeah. It's been like 15 months. 15 whole months. Still no fight yet, by the way. Question for Jed. What conditioner do you use for those glorious looks? Why aren't you asking me that question, David? God, golly.
Hey, David, Cindy.
I used whatever in the lake today. I have far too expensive shampoo and conditioner that I get from the salon I go to, but I don't remember the name of it. I just whatever they give me. Like, hey, I'm out of conditioner. They're like, here, use this. I'm like, okay. You guys know more about this stuff than I do. I trust you. It's worked out.
Breaking news.
Fights happening.
Breaking news. No, just some news. I mean, it's not. Don't worry. Stay calm. We didn't lose a fight, but Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes has been rebooked August 13th. UFC San Diego. The card headlined by Dominic Cruz and Chito Vera. So there you go. Nice little addition to the August 13th card in San Diego. As we're getting ready for some bantamweight prospect action. The promo video is on for we're good. We still got like 4 or 5 minutes. We're good. Let's go. Rapid fire. Let's rock.
Rapid fire. Here we go. I'm just gonna throw them up, not even reading these questions.
Early thoughts on Aljo Dillashaw. Jed.
I wish it was Aldo, but good fight. I think I favor Dillashaw, but honestly not sure.
I agree with everything you just said. I'm leaning Aljo right now, but I could be wrong. I like the matchup. Casey.
It's a great matchup.
Great matchup. Actually, what Jed said. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be Aldo, by the way. It should be Aldo.
Should be.
I'm just putting these up there. I'm just putting them up there.
Just fire through it.
Best vocabulary in a press conference. It's Alex Hernandez by a mile.
I don't recall any Alex Hernandez press conferences, but you seem very confident.
The Brooklyn one?
I'll go with
the Brooklyn one with Cerrone?
Press conferences go out my head instantaneously, just like here to here. I mostly don't care about press conferences except for the parts that we have to care about at the time, and I immediately forget them all.
Did you hear that Sean Strickland won the press conference?
He 10-8'd that press conference.
He 10-8'd, yeah.
He got 10-4 in the fight. It was tough.
Go
tough
watch
fight.
if you have a chance. Glory kickboxing champion Gabriel Varga has a great YouTube channel, and he breaks down fights, and he breaks down the Strickland knockout so well. And basically, he just says, "What the hell was Sean Strickland doing?" That's pretty much it.
I mean this very seriously. I think it's the worst performance in modern UFC history.
I said it's the performers or game plan, whatever you want to call it.
I think it's the worst performance in modern UFC history.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that one. Yeah,
it's still funny. It's honestly still it's high art. I want one of these days I should go figure out how many times does winning the press conference mean you lose the fight? Because it feels like a lot. I don't know if that's true, but it feels in my heart that like the people who win the press conference just go and get obliterated.
I like he won the press conference. Example. I like he won the press conference against a guy he wasn't actually fighting, and never will fight apparently.
But he won. But he still won.
But he still won. Yeah. Here you
All
go.
right.
This is for you, Mike. Mike, this is for you.
What floor cleaner do you use to obtain that shine? Don't need it, baby. Don't need it. I'm good. Wash, shampoo, do it all. And then again, by the way, in hopefully the next couple of weeks, you won't see the shine off my head. It won't be 418 degrees in the Command Center 4.0. We'll have some AC in here. We'll be good to go. All right, let's get after this thing. All right. Let's get after this. The head will still shine. Time for picks. Michael Johnson, Jamie Malarkey, Casey.
After a dominant 2 rounds from Michael Johnson, Malarkey knocks out Michael Johnson in the 3rd round.
I'm going Michael Johnson 2nd round KO. Jed.
Malarkey 2nd round KO in a really
and Malarkey breaks the backward shorts curse.
Yes, great fight. Ayman Zahabi, Ricky Tercios. I'm going Ricky Tercios decision. Jed.
Tercios decision.
Casey.
Tercios decision. Yep.
Jed, we'll begin with you here. Chase Sherman, Jared Vandera, heavyweight action.
I think this is going to be a Chase Sherman decision, and I think after 5 minutes, it's going to be a real heavyweight fight, like just the heaviest of heavyweight fights happening in there. So Chase Sherman by decision in the worst fight of the evening.
Casey.
I'm picking Vandera 1st round KO, but I hope Jed's right. I hope Jed's right.
I'm going Vandera submission. I'm trying to remember which round I picked. I think round 1. I think I picked
I
round
mean
1. Let me
that's when Chase has been getting submitted, so it's a good choice.
where am I?
For
Vandera.
the
Yep,
betting
I'm going
submission
round
round 1.
out there.
It'll be ground and pound though. He'll take him down. It's gonna be like just like.
For the betting inclined,
Case-
Chase Sherman has been submitted in the first round his last 2 fights.
Yes. Casey, Saeed Nurmagomedov, Douglas Silva de Andrade. A lot of people are picking this one for fight of the night.
Nurmi, second round KO.
I'm going Nurmi club and sub round 2, but that fight's going to be awesome until it's not happening anymore. Jed.
Nurmi in a decision that at various points in time looks like it could get stopped, but makes it to the final bell.
That fight's going to be great.
Fight's going to be awesome.
Second consecutive co-main event for Caio Borralho, Jed Meshew. Can he get it done against a guy we were very high on when a lot of people weren't high on, Mr. Petrosian, for his last fight? Sure did.
Just also important to note, second consecutive co-main event. Also, this is his second UFC fight. So important to note, they have immediately put this man in the co-main 2 times in a row, which says something about what they think of him. I am picking him to win by submission in what round did I pick? I picked the first round. I think we saw Gregory Rodriguez he's a better grappler, but we saw him have a lot of success on the ground before kind of got away from him, kind of couldn't do that anymore the way that fight broke out. I think Caio Borralho is more inclined to pursue his grappling than Gregory Rodriguez sometimes gets too excited about hitting people in the face with his punches. I think Borralho is going to get the takedown, get the sub.
Casey?
I'm going Petrosian. Second round KO.
I'm actually picking the same. I'm taking the flyer on Petrosian, but I mean, Jed could very well be correct here. I mean, this is just a flyer.
Yeah, I don't even
This
know.
is just a flyer. If this fight's listen, I know a lot of people are giving Borralho a chance standing. That'd be a horrible idea if he stayed standing.
Really bad.
Petrosian. Just a terrible idea.
Better than Sean Strickland's plan, but not that much better.
Yeah,
very slightly, but not that much better.
Yeah.
All right, last one, because this fight we're 45 seconds in. It's already an absolute slapper. RDA versus Rafael Fiziev. Casey.
Fiziev decision.
RDA decision. Jed.
RDA decision.
There you go. There's the music. We're out of here. We're a minute in. Ronnie Lawrence, Saidikam Hakhramonov just getting after it right now.
Nice.
Enjoy the fights. Enjoy And if you got to go out and do other stuff, follow along with the greatest website in the world, as Jed likes to say.
The greatest.
MMAfighting.com.
Greatest.
The greatest. For Jed, for EKC, I'm Mike Heck. We'll see you after the fights, everybody.